Again, good afternoon. I understand that lunch ends at 1. The reason why I asked to come here today...
It started at 12.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kind of a prompt person. No disrespect intended. I wanted to speak to this council for a long time about a lot of issues. Every reason I can think of is something that angers me and irritates me, but not just myself, my family. We all feel the same way. Pretty much every tribal member that I talk to that isn't, part of this administration has a lot of negative things to say about it, more than I can count. And I have a lot of anger in myself, I'm not going to lie. I've tried several times to, establish some sort of a positive hold on my own personal life, and a lot of personal issues, drug addiction in my family, alcoholism, abuse, physical violence, domestic violence. There's been a lot of stuff that's poisoned me, thanks to irresponsibility in my family. Irresponsibility here in this tribe. People that, I at one point in my life really looked up to. I see nepotism that seems to be a way of life here. Where 75–80% of our membership is underemployed or unemployed. To me, that's not acceptable. I have a lot of talking points that I'd like to express today. Opportunities for tribal members. There are some opportunities out there, but the majority of the opportunities go to non-tribal people in our administration. As it stands right now, I believe it's 70–75% non-native employees, not just here in the admin, but at the casino too, which is completely understandable because Anglo-Saxons do make up the majority of the population, besides quote-unquote Hispanic or Latin Americans. But I'd like to see a lot more of our people working, and they don't. They don't feel like they have any attachment to this tribe other than for an enrollment number, some limited IHS assistance when it comes to medical or dental care, even though we built a $14 million facility up the hill there, when my personal belief was that one was working just fine, even though it was, needed some serious repairs. Business, finance, housing, 477 self-sufficiency program dollars. This tribe got a National Indian Gaming Compact through the NIGC and an agreement with the state of Oregon at 6% of our gross revenue per year. We hand a lot of that out to roads and schools and the Toledo Police Department and, all these other programs. A lot of our tribal members don't see any sort of, benefit from. There are some that do, but it's a lot that don't. Our Natural Resources Department, in my personal opinion, is a failure. Why? Because there could be at least 100 jobs provided right there with a hotshot crew, and that's not something that the tribe has to pay exclusively, off the nose for paying its employees. That's federal dollars right there. Bureau of Land Management. Bureau of Indian Affairs have a lot of hotshot crews, or Type 2 crews. Baloney Joe's used to be the most active firefighting crew in the state of Oregon because they had a 40-member team. 20 of each of those teams could be dispatched to any location to provide field support. My father was on that crew. Come back and make $80,000 in a summer. We have plenty of land that we could appropriate for some sort of natural resources, field offices and Type 1 and Type 2 equipment, engines, fuels, all of those things. But none of that has become a reality. There have been a lot of businesses that were created, Siletz Technologies, US/Siletz Aero Team. My concerns with the Chapter 7 and 13 bankruptcy with regards to Mr. Suhas Kakde, who's not present here, who's not a tribal member. A lot of different monies being spent so that people can look good on paper, but yet when it comes to the viability, the health and welfare of this tribe, it's not there. We've got kids out here, going into mom and dad's pill cabinet and grabbing their pills, or committing suicide, or going out and trying to drink with their friends for the first time and ending up in the system in jail because they acted violently because of the domestic violence situations at home. There are some after-school programs that I see, but there could be a lot more. A lot of these kids are starving for their own culture. Something that I believe that we don't have enough access to, even if it is right down the street, which is our smokehouse, which in my personal belief should be open every single Sunday so that we have a place to go besides a church if we don't represent the Christian faith. There are civil rights violations going on in this tribe right now that are numerous, while every single right that we have is being put on the back burner. Just let them simmer and stew in their own anger and distrust or distaste. Conflicts of interest with regard to this tribal council right here in our gaming administration, or our gaming commission. The amount of managers that work at our casino that are not tribal members, that don't see to it that our tribal members' rights are protected. I see a lot of people in this council here that I would like to build a relationship with, that I would like to help bolster our economy with, that would stand strong with me, that aren't going to sit there and look down their nose at me or anybody in my family and call us a bunch of drunks and drug addicts, because we're trying really hard not to be those things these days. We're trying to be entrepreneurs, enterprisers, franchisers, business professionals that will make sure that this tribe succeeds in the rest of this 21st century and hopefully beyond for our grandkids and our great-grandkids. I worked at the casino last year. I got that job after 2 weeks of intense scrutiny by the Gaming Commission about an arrest that I had because my father pulled a butcher knife on me. I cried my eyes out to my father. Why are you doing this, Dad? Why are you pulling a knife on your own flesh and blood that you helped bring into this world? So I called the police. Portland police show up at my grandmother's house, and he's supposed to be the caretaker of my grandmother, who has alcohol-induced dementia, thanks to her 45 plus years of alcoholism, thanks in part to the sexual abuse that she suffered as a child because of alcoholism, because of my great-grandfather, John Carl Logsdon, the namesake of that town right over there. My father, like I said before, to a couple of people, he died in my arms. And I knew that that was going to happen. I knew Uncle Don was going to die right after he did, because he had said, I don't have much time left here, Neff, and walks across the street and gets hit by a bus, or a car, or a truck, whatever it was. May they rest in peace. My Aunt Carolyn can't find any sort of respite care so she can get an hour or 8 hours to herself because she's constantly taking care of my 81-year-old, soon-to-be 81-year-old grandmother, Ernestine Daphne Logsdon Yarber. And I see there's an elders council, I see there's a lot of elders benefits and whatnot, but what about my auntie? She's got arthritis. And she still lifts my grandmother up in the shower and changes her incontinence. I love my tribe. I love my family. I love the idea that we've created a business, or several businesses, most of which in my thoughts and on paper, in fact, have failed. There is one business that is succeeding right now, even amongst economic diversity, and that's our casino. But everything about that casino, whether I believe it or not, even if gambling is a part of our native culture and way of life for eons, cigarettes, alcohol, a poisonous environment, people losing lots of money most of the time that they don't have. I know I don't have it. I'm still hoping to get some sort of a jackpot after 15 years, but hey, whatever. I try to be mindful of my spending, but there are a lot of people that don't. I hear from people, not just myself, my own personal feelings, but this tribal council is run like a regime. Who's directly related to who? Who is nieces and nephews of this person? Where is our money going? What's going on with our investment portfolio? Do we have any marketing and advertising for our casino that's worth a damn? No. No, we don't. There's a lot of things that these kids out here are starving for, and one of those things happens to be education. Something that I believe in. I believe that my son, when he becomes an 18-year-old young man, that he's going to have every advantage thanks to me. I don't know about the Confederated Tribes in Warm Springs, and I can't speak about that, tribal government other than for my distaste and the way that they run things, similar to my feelings about this and others. Health and welfare, threats, censorship, racism in the workplace. Lady by the name of Jan Thomas, supervisor in the soft count room, my direct supervisor last year in my employ, tells me it's my personal belief that if you don't speak English, then you don't have any right to be in this country. Excuse me? And who the hell do you think you are? Woman, you got a job in this place as a tribal business, and you're going to come up to me and talk to me like that? That's like me hypothetically saying to you, and I'm not because I have conduct that's becoming of a supervisor, which I think that you should have too, especially when you're working for a tribal business. To not talk like that. You want to reserve your personal embellishments? Save it for after you're off the clock, because I don't want to hear it. I don't have to hear it. It's my tribal business that employs you. I write a 4-page complaint, take it up to Jennifer Lake, the HR coordinator. She tells me, you're just a loudmouth, Ron. Well, you can kiss my butt, Jennifer. Take the damn complaint and send it into council like I asked you to. Why are you trying to censor me? Why are you trying to push me down? You feel threatened by me for some reason? Administrators, managers that are not tribal members, that don't care about their tribal members. There are people dying in this tribe, mainly in my family, like I said before, and every single time I have any concerns and say anything, those people that are supposed to be here to say it, or hear it from me, or support me in my feelings aren't. They just hang up on me and set their phone down while I'm sitting there trying to communicate with them. Or they threaten to slap me in my face if I was standing in front of them. People that work here. Those things are already bygone. So what? Then I'm over here filming for a beautiful idea about the Chinook Winds Contest Powwow and Coast Fair. An idea that I've been pushing for a long time but have not yet had any wind in my sails to push it completely through. Something that I think would make at least $15 million in a weekend for our tribal businesses, our personal, vendors, tribal, non-tribal vendors. The whole entire community of Lincoln City, Lincoln County would be bolstered with this idea. And I have to know how to do it. And I always ask for the support, but not through the Gaming Commission, not through the marketing and advertising committee. The tribal membership, the employees all seem to think it's a really good idea, even some of the people that are in management positions. The director of operations, even the general manager of the casino himself, Mr. Mike Fisher. Advertising out there, telling our customer base, which is most of the time elders, especially on Boomer Tuesdays, well, I don't want to just target them. I want to target everybody to come down here. This is the Pacific Ocean. We got 10 times what Spirit Mountain has, especially in aesthetically pleasing beauty. Sovereign immunity. It's illegal for us to sue our own tribal council or members of tribal council or administrators. Why is that? My question is, why is that? Why is it illegal for me to voice my concerns if it's something that I know is not good for the health and welfare of this tribe? Why is there no term limits for our councilmen here? Especially after they've been on council for a really long time. We need some fresh new blood in here. No disrespect to any of you for all of the things that you've done. But what about the rest of us? Because my brother's out there taking food stamps right now, as am I. And I'm wondering to myself, we have a multi-million-dollar casino operation, and supposedly we have other businesses that are supposedly benefiting by a customer base. And I look around at who's employed in those positions. Who's at the Hee-Hee-Illahi or the Logan Road RV Park where I'm currently staying. Who's in control of the Siletz Tribal Business Corporation? Who has a high-paying job? Who has a $147,000 a year salary in this tribe and produces no results? I mean, because my thought is, well, hey, here's what we could do. We can have performance evaluations. And if you're not at your job doing your job, that means that you're not getting paid. If you have some sort of exigent circumstance that says that you shouldn't be at work, maybe you're sick, or maybe you need to go take care of some doctor dental appointments for your kids, or whatever the cause is, as long as it's noted and you've got some sort of paid time off, take it. But not at the tribe's expense. Fluid movements in business are what make money. Right decisions are what make money. Obviously, the banks figured out how to get everybody's money. Obviously, they know how to implode the economy. But what about us? We've got a job and responsibility to all of our tribal members, myself included, to say that we're not going to allow the federal sequestration being handed down to affect our tribe or its membership, because in Article 4 of our Constitution it says for the health, welfare, and benefit of all tribal members. And that's not what's happening right now. They're going to cut IHS funding by 90%. School funding by 90%. As they're already putting classrooms together, 45, 50 at a time, these kids. Not enough time independently, one-on-one with the teacher or even the teacher's assistant. I see people getting $25,000 or $5,000 from eco-trust money that we're handing out to these non-profit entities that label themselves green and talk about sustainable, healthy environments. Well, there's plenty of ideas that we could do and implement here. I don't get $25,000. I'm not invited to these conferences and things, even though it is my fervent belief that domestic violence is wrong. Sexual violence is wrong. Drug and alcohol abuse is wrong. Death for no reason is wrong. Voters fraud. I know on several occasions issues of voters fraud in this tribe. The fact that only 300 plus people vote out of a 4,700 so on people-based tribal membership. What's that say about our elections committee? The ones that are the only committee, it seems, besides just one more, just game committee, which is handpicked by members of council or the administration. How's my tribal people, how are tribal people supposed to trust anybody? Block voting scenarios. Instead of, hi, my name's Ron Belgard. I'm running for tribal chairman of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz. And this is what I will bring to the table. Instead of, no, just pick me. Because that's not the way that works. And I know where things have been. I know what you've done to help people. My uncles have told me, my cousins have told me the things that you've done personally, Delores, to help them. And I can respect it. But as it sits right now, I don't have any respect for you. Not one bit. Because my kids are suffering. We can't get help anywhere in this tribe. Indian child welfare treats our families like crap. Housing treats us like crap. Every employee that is not a tribal member doesn't give a damn about the tribal membership. Why should they have to? They just work here. They don't hold the tribal members' values in place, which has to do with restoration of our tribal way of life. Feather dancing, not just on the solstices or the equinoxes, but as much as we can to return the vitality to our youth and our elders who sincerely are missing those things. I go to pipe ceremonies, sun dances, peyote meetings, wash-up at the longhouses, whether in Sinasho or Salilo, Yakima, Umatilla, Nipiawi, you name it. The canoe journey to support these people and what they're doing. All up and down the whole Northwest Coast and beyond, all the way to the East Coast I've been for ceremonies. Into Canada, down into Mexico. I do that because I believe that through goodness and positivity that we'll be able to change the world the way that we want. I see people that look at me all the time. They look at me like they're ashamed of me, or like they don't care about what I care about. And my dad says to me before he dies, he says, I don't even know why we enrolled here. They just take everything for themselves anyway, son. And I said, I know, Dad. It feels that way to me. I mean, I look at it, they say there's educational opportunities. Where? Where are they at? gets paid $100,000+ a year sitting at this table? Who produces no results? That's what I mean about performance evaluations. Who's in control of the majority of the assets that this tribe has right now? To me, it's your family. Yours and yours alone.
Mine?
Yes. Yes, Delores. I say that with a good heart, too. Not to try and bring you down. Not to try to detract from what you've been doing for 34 or 35 years here. You started with an agenda, along with other people that were on this council, that went to Washington, D.C. to talk to the great white fathers about our restoration. I was never not a native to begin with. When I was born, even if this tribe wasn't restored until November 18th, a month after my birthday, and 2 years.
Well, I think you said some things that require a response, and I don't make the decisions. 9 people make a decision on the Tribal Council. And we always try to do everything that we do in an equal way so that it applies to tribal members equally. No one here has a personal agenda that I know of, and we all have differences. We don't always agree, and that's putting it pretty bluntly. We don't always agree, but we try to arrive at a decision that's the best decision for the tribe.
There's no try and do. You either do or you don't. There's a saying that goes in the streets with a lot of people, especially hustlers and people like that, less than noteworthy people.
We do arrive at those hard decisions. Sometimes they're very hard decisions, but it's for the benefit of all the people. It doesn't benefit me.
The benefit is not seen anywhere in our family. Even though we get a per capita check, or so-called medical and dental benefits, I don't get any of those things. I get a hard time from contract health about scares of cancer, or a gynecomastic cyst in my chest, or educational opportunities, or entrepreneurial opportunities, like for my brother, who is a computer genius, or my sister, who's an excellent writer. Brenda's your niece. He's your nephew. At least a couple of other members on this council are related to you directly. The people that are in charge of certain businesses in this tribe are all directly related to you. They've told me themselves.
I run for election, and I'm elected by the membership.
In a block voting scenario, bud.
The people choose their representatives on this board.
Well, let's put it to a real contest then. Let's change the voting paradigm, shall we? Let's see who will pick who in an outright open election. All to run for council chairman.
They're all open.
No. I don't mean block voting where all your friends pick you. What I mean is where everybody in this tribe that is of legal voting age gets a documentation from the elections committee, and all of the, council delegates' statements, and they say this: I'm running for this position. Here's my qualifications, and we'll see who wins next time.
That's what they do.
No, they don't. What
Yes,
they
they
do. Then why are only 300+ people voting then?
I don't know, but
Because there's no such thing as a real elections committee. You got people sitting campaign rhetoric
do you know why?
and tribal business
Do you know why
envelopes.
Do you know why the election committee gets appointed the way it does?
Because nobody supposedly runs for the elections committee.
No one applies.
Yeah, I know. That's funny how it's the only one
Because
out of all these committees.
you can't be related to anyone of the candidates.
Yes, and you cannot sit on the elections committee months before you run for tribal council, or weeks, like this young lady here, or Kelly Ellis, who sent personal campaign rhetoric and natural resources envelopes at the tribe's cost. That is a severe violation of our policy. I got it saved. I called the Bureau of Indian Affairs myself, and they said, well, yes, that does constitute fraud. And that the deputy director of the Bureau of Indian Affairs asked me, well, can you send me that envelope? I said, when I think it's safe enough to do so. Until that time, it'll stay in my care. I'll go and get it notarized and get a copy of that, envelope, and then I'll send it to the BIA so that I can retain the original copy and the rhetoric that she sent to tribal members in it. That's my money going out so that she can tell everybody how grandiose she is. She's in the community law court. She should know the policy. And since that time, what was it, July 7th of 2000, and 2010, I believe, the policy was changed again so that people on the elections committee can run for council. Violation, conflict of interest. Oh, so you're on the elections committee yet you're running for office? Oh, well, he doesn't vote for me, I'm just going to set that aside. Those are the kind of questions that our tribal members are asking.
People on the elections committee cannot run for tribal council.
No.
Well, they did. Kelly Ellis was on the elections committee.
Not when she ran for council.
That's a lie. And I have it on recording on my desktop. I have her voice saying, no, it's not against the law. Yes, it is, Kelly. You are part of the community law board and you know damn good and well that I'm telling the truth here. They talk about policies in housing and how they're only going to help to a certain extent because the money's limited. Yet they treat all our tribal members like crap too. Well, I work for the housing authority. This is HUD. We get our money from the federal government. We don't have to do what the tribe tells us to do. Oh, so you can treat people like crap? You can throw people around, push people around, make them feel like they're not welcome in their own tribe? I'm a spiritually aligned person. I do have a lot of care and consideration, more than I have love. I care. $25 to camp on my own reservation at our summer contest powwow? These people don't even know how to hold a powwow. Not a real powwow, not a powwow like my Ojibwe Cree relatives. That's where our powwows come from, is the Midwest. Powwow is not a coastal thing. Powwow is a plains and eastern celebration. Powwow, if you will. A gathering of the people. We don't have enough of those anymore. I remember I hear our elders talk about feather dance and all those things all the time. Those are the things, the unwritten laws that kept our people in check. It gave the General Council the voice and the opportunity to say, no, we're not going to let your totality try and push us into a corner while you do your bidding and leave all the rest of us behind. Because I remember when I was a kid, all my aunties and uncles talking about how they would send information before the ego of this council got inflated as much as it is, in my personal opinion and view. Even your tribal attorney advised you of conflicts of interest expressed by many tribal members. The other tribal attorney who's not present that I can see made comments that she doesn't care about our cultural way of life and our understanding of it. So that basically says to me that she doesn't care about the overall wealth and health, and all opportunities for our tribal people. Am I supposed to just tell my family that they don't care about you guys? They don't care. They care about themselves, they care about their own paycheck, they care about everything but us. $528,000 to the Toledo Police Department when we should hire an auxiliary security force? Not like that shambles of a cavalry excuse that they got over there in Grand Ron. 50 non-tribal members walking around with pistols and handcuffs, and they're not even cops. I'm talking about a real security force that walks around here on foot patrols and keeps kids from drinking down by our sacred spots, or banging heroin, like I found, syringes. Our places of worship in shambles because of an ant infestation. What does that say to our people when they go to celebrate there or have meetings there? It says, we don't care. We've got all these things that, the concerns reflect our popular opinion amongst tribal members. And I've got video for hours now, thankfully, that talks a lot. And even if they know each other or not, they all say the same things and they all say the same names. I have $178,000 in medical debt because Contract Health refuses to pay the bills that they're required to pay by federal law. And I don't know if that's Contract Health Services' diligent duty to make sure that we don't get the bills paid so that we are put into debt, so that they can keep us in some sort of indentured servitude for the rest of our lives. Well, I'm not having it. I worry about my heart, I worry about my health, I worry about the mafia being infiltrated in here, or at least, pondering on the idea, especially when people talk about $1 million